Hello and welcome to a new video. So if you've been following me for a while now, you probably have noticed that I went back from drawing in Procreate to painting and drawing in a more traditional way. So I think my first video here on the channel was a Procreate children's illustration video. And I have been doing traditional art for many years. And in 2021, I taught myself how to use Procreate and obviously fell in love with the program. But I also noticed that I really missed painting in a traditional way. And so that's what I've been doing lately most of the time. And yes, what I'm then doing, and you can see that in my last video, is to digitize the artwork and just kind of enhance the look in Procreate a bit. And this works very well if you do a full-blown illustration with background and all of this. But if you paint your elements separately, like I've done in the illustration, you can see in the thumbnail, then the problem is if you put them in Procreate and then you start to arrange them by moving them around, flipping them horizontally, vertically, turning them a bit to the left, to the right, maybe also resizing them, so making them smaller and bigger, the images lose quite a lot of quality. So in Photoshop, it used to be, if it's not a smart object, if you resize an illustration and make it smaller and then make it bigger again, it loses quality. And in Procreate, as far as I've gathered, it's not just the resizing that loses the quality, but also if you, like I just said, arrange it on the page, if you flip it or if you rotate it, it gets more and more pixelated. And that's obviously what I don't want. So I have been looking for a program which lets me, work with these scanned in illustration parts. And obviously Photoshop is a very good alternative, but I really don't like how expensive it is. And especially for me, I'm not a professional illustrator. And also I don't use it as much, at least up until now. I haven't used Photoshop a lot. And so that really doesn't make sense for me to pay that much money. And also Photoshop received a lot of criticism lately, so I won't go into detail about that. But it really made me think again that I wanted an alternative. And I had my eyes on Affinity for quite a while now. And I have the Affinity Designer for iPad on my iPad or on my old iPad. But since I don't use a lot of vector, I mean, you can paint in pixel on Affinity Designers, but I haven't really used that a lot. Yes, but for doing what I just explained, like arranging the illustration parts, it's easier to have a desktop app on your computer. And so I bought Affinity Photo and it was 50% off. So I think I paid about 35 euros and it's now mine. It's not a subscription. And I also use what they have now, I think for all of their programs, is that you can test them out for half a year and then you can decide whether you want to buy it afterwards, and it's still 50% off. So on my iPad, I have the Affinity Photo for iPad, and now I can test it for half a year, for 6 months, and then I can get it for 10 euros if I want so. Could buy it right now. But anyways, I've been using, like I said, Affinity Photo to do an illustration. And what I want to do with this video is, I don't have really quite a lot of knowledge now about Affinity Photo, but just demonstrate a few things I already learned, and hopefully along the way I can show you quite a lot more, because it really worked so well for me. So I really don't need Photoshop at all. And I'm very happy that I found something which lets me work with my hand-painted illustrations. So without further ado, I will just hop into Affinity Photo and I hope I see you there. Bye! Okay, so here I am in Affinity Photo 2. Affinity Photo has these different personas. So I'm in the photo persona, that's the one I use. It also has the liquefy persona, develop persona, and tone mapping persona, but I think you just need this if you really work with photos and not illustrations. Anyways, if I want to create a new document, I'll go to File and New. And I've got these different options here already, and I will go with the A5. But what I want to change is, oh no, it's already landscape. So I've got an A5. I don't want these margins, so I will toggle that off. Color is RGB, and then I will just hit create. And now if I want to place a scanned object, I will go to File, and then I will go to Place. And I've got this folder here, and I will start with this blue background and just double click here. And it doesn't appear immediately. I have to click one more time. And then I will just zoom out by pressing Command minus. And then I can grab the handle over here and then just, you know, make it 90%. I think I haven't enabled the snapping and magnetics, so wait, let's see, which one is it here? Which will make that, oh, I don't know. Anyways, doesn't really matter here. Now we'll just make that a bit bigger. Okay, so that's my blue background. Now I also want to grab the ground of the illustration. That's this image here. And again, I will just click and just drag it to the right place. And it doesn't really fit perfectly, so with the ground I can just make that a bit wider and get away with it anyways. Okay, and maybe make it a bit, I don't know, arranged a bit like this. Okay, so what I will do now is to lock both of these so I won't grab them if I import the next elements. And with this little circle here, you can toggle on and off the visibility. And if you tap just like next to the little circle on the left, you can just lock a layer. And you can see it's locked when you see this little lock. Is it a lock? I don't know. Okay, so I will now add a new element. Again, go to Place. And I will use this girl here, double tap, and just put it here. Okay, so and here it is, and it is too big, so I can just make it a bit smaller and maybe move her a bit to the side. Okay, and then I will also grab the fish, again with Place. And make him a bit smaller too. And just move him very close to her and lock these two as well. Okay, so that's the main thing, and I can't move the fish right now because it's locked. I can now move that. This is the right click, I could arrange, so wait, let's see, rotate it to the left, and flip horizontal and so on. I could make it smaller and then make it bigger again, and let's just grab it here, move it from here to there, and it still hasn't lost quality now, and this is just great for me. So I can, let's just do undo to get him back to where he was. So I can just work with it without the fear of losing any quality. Yes, so what I did to, wait, let me just show you the finished illustration. Wait a minute, open recent. So that's this one here. Now, what I also did with this ones is to do a few adjustments. And this, for instance, is a vibrance adjustment. So you can't really tell. But that works as well if you want to change the hues or the vibrancy or anything, or brightness and contrast. I think this is really visible now. If I switch that on, you can really tell that I've enhanced the contrast here a bit. And yes, it's great. It's non-destructive, so I can toggle that off and on as much as I like. And what else can I show you? I've incorporated some shadows here. I don't know if I can toggle them on and off. Maybe you can see them here if you look at the plant. And I've painted these in, doesn't really make sense, the shadow over here because I moved the plant. But I've painted these in the desktop app for Affinity Photo. And also, I'm not quite sure where that is. I've got this white here in front of her leg, and I've also painted that in Affinity Photo. One thing I couldn't do in Affinity Photo on the iPad were these kind of bubbles. And this is because this is one of my favorite Procreate brushes, and I haven't yet created an Affinity Photo version out of this. So this is kind of the only thing I painted in Procreate, and I imported the complete image into Procreate, and then I painted these bubbles, and then I just imported the PNG layers with the bubbles and put that here back into Affinity Photo. Okay, so I think that's about it. I really don't quite know what else to show you. It was mainly arranging all of these different elements here on the page and then kind of figuring out, or maybe one thing I can show you, because I struggled with that in the beginning. Wait, let me just place a PNG where I've got a lot of background. So maybe just this fish here. So I will place that, and oh, it's very big, so I will zoom out, Command minus, and then just make that smaller. And here's the fish. And as you can see, I've got all this excess PNG layer, which I don't want. And in the beginning, what I tried to do was to cut that by using the, let me just grab so this would be kind of the freehand selection tool. I will hit Command D to deselect and then zoom in. And then what I did was, to go around this and then do Command X and Command V. And I thought that would get rid of the rest of the layer, but actually you can see it is still there. So in Procreate, that would have gotten rid of the rest of the PNG layer. In Affinity Photo, it didn't. And then after a while, I figured out what you can do is to convert this, which is now still a PNG, convert that into or to pixelate it. And I will do a right mouse click and go to rasterize and trim. And what that does is it gets rid of this excess PNG layer, and it's now rasterized that one here, which you can see here it says pixel and here it says image. Now I haven't really figured out if it's better to rasterize all of these layers, so I haven't done that yet, but if I wanted to get rid of that background, I have. Now, like I said, I feel I can't really tell you that much right now. I'm not that familiar with the program, but if you've got any questions, I will try to answer them. I can really recommend, if you're doing something similar than I do, I can really recommend trying out the Affinity Photo for desktop. And if they've still got the 6-month free trial, definitely check that out. And yes, in the future, if I get more acquainted with the program, I really hope to do some tutorials to go a bit more in depth and create an illustration from scratch. But up until now, you will just have to live with this very short introduction that might have gotten you curious about Affinity Photo. So I hope to see you in the next video, and have a great week. Bye!